Argus just got a massive change to his ultimate on the advanced server. Is this something to celebrate about, or something Argus players have to be worried about? Today we'll find out by discussing the pros and cons of this adjustment and some comparisons with the original server version as well. If you want to help the channel out, consider giving this video a thumbs up, share it, and if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. Argus' new ultimate is now both an offensive and defensive skill. Upon activation, it will deal great damage to enemies around him and then turns into a fallen angel for 5 seconds. If Argus hits one or more enemy heroes, it enhances his sword and allows him to gain more malice energy. In the fallen angel form or state, he gains 80% bonus movement speed for 2 seconds, which gradually decays. Any damage Argus deals while in fallen angel form is converted to his HP once the transformation ends. In the event Argus receives a killing blow while in fallen angel state, he will not die. Instead, the duration of the movement speed bonus will be reset and he will gain death immunity for 3 seconds. Before we move forward, let's talk about some things he lost because of this change, or in other words, the nerfs to balance out the buffs. Number 1 is the cooldown time. The new ultimate has a significantly longer cooldown time than the ultimate he has on the original server. This, in my opinion, is bad, but not so much since the cooldown is still pretty reasonable, especially since you can always buy or use fleeting time to greatly reduce his ultimate's cooldown time. Number 2, they didn't say this in the patch notes, so I'm hoping this is just a bug or is temporary, but the Argus on the advanced server no longer gains malice energy passively. He has to actually attack in order to gain malice energy. This is a big deal. A lot of players will have to dramatically change their playstyle and will lose a huge potential during the laning phase. A lot of Argus players play defensively during the early game and allow malice energy to recharge passively and only attack once the malice energy is filled up. With this nerf, Argus players will no longer be able to do that. In my opinion, this is a very hard and massive nerf. Number 3, his ultimate no longer passively or permanently boosts his malice energy recharge. This means that the advanced server Argus has significantly weaker damage output than the original server version if they both do not use their ultimates, because it will take him much longer to fully recharge his malice energy, therefore delaying the activation of his enhanced basic attack. I don't think I have to further explain why, but in my opinion this is also a massive nerf. And no, we are not done yet. There is still number 4. Warmonger. Argus' passive skill has less damage and less HP regeneration. I wouldn't call this a massive nerf, but this is a very unnecessary nerf. I don't think this nerf was needed in order to balance off the buffs. I almost missed this part. They also gave him a very slight buff when it came to gaining malice energy from critical strikes. To test how effective that buff is, let's put 4 Berserker Furies on both the original and advanced server versions so that all of their basic attacks will deal critical damage. Let's see who fills up their malice energy first. As you just saw, the original server version only took 3 slashes to fill up the malice energy. In fact, it was almost full before the 3rd strike even landed. Even a level 1 Argus from the original server can fill up his malice energy faster than a level 15 Argus on the advanced server. With the discreet, unannounced nerfs they gave Argus, his performance on the early game, especially during the laning phase, will be greatly impacted and not in the way we want. Do you think maybe we are underestimating this adjustment too much? Maybe we're judging it too early? Well, let's find out. Let's see how Argus performs when his ultimate is activated. For this test, we equipped both Layla bots these items to mimic the stats of a typical bruiser or tanky fighter. As for both Arguses, we got them the same set of emblems, talents, and items. That was close, but the advanced server version clearly won. The Argus on the advanced server filled up his Malice energy very quickly as well. In case you didn't notice, I activated both Argus's second skill just to make it fair for the Argus on the original server. But still, the advanced server version won. I think this means that the advanced server Argus is significantly weaker in the early game, but can turn into an absolute monster in the late game. I don't know how to feel about that, so let me know in the comment section if you think that's a good thing. Now that we know how Argus performs in the early game and late game, let's go ahead and see how long he lasts when under fire. Here's a comparison of both versions against a turret. As you just saw, the Argus on the advanced server died first. But before you get your pitchforks and start screaming in anger, take note that I activated the ultimate on the advanced server first. This is actually not a total deal breaker. Keep in mind that the new ultimate is not just a defensive skill now, it is also offensive, which means it will open up opportunities for you to use it as a diving skill that not only deals damage but guarantees that your ultimate will be able to successfully protect you from death while it's active. Remember that the new ultimate also absurdly improves the Malice energy recharge, which means even though the death immunity is only 3 seconds, you still have a 5-second window to destroy as many enemies in your path as possible. This also means that in the right hands, the new Argus also has a more reliable teamfight effectiveness thanks to the damage his ultimate deals on heroes around him, which is very effective against fragile heroes. Not to mention that it'll be easier to get assists that will help fuel bleeding time's effect, assuming you get that item. The new Argus basically is a more well-rounded version with less risks in exchange for reducing his damage output on the early game and without his ultimate. I wouldn't call it a buff, it's more of an adjustment because of how many nerfs they gave him in exchange for the buffs. I guess my biggest problem is the massive reduction of his effectiveness during the laning phase. I have to admit though, Argus looks pretty promising in the late game. That concludes our Mobile Legends content for today. What do you think of the new Argus adjustment? Is it bad? Is it good? Which do you prefer? Maybe the original server version or the advanced server version? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, and if you haven't yet, don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Stay safe everyone. Peace.